This is Kim Karr with us tonight. Kim was a middle school teacher for 13 years and co-founded I Can Help in 2013. She's a leading motivational speaker, curriculum developer, and leadership trainer. Kim is continuously working to make the world a better place and empower youth. She guides and supports our student internship programs and has big plans for the future of I Can Help and Digital for Good. Kim is excited to work side by side with students to be stronger together and lead them to new opportunities greater than they could have imagined. So I introduce to you Kim Karr.
Love it. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for the introduction. What a great job of going finding all the pictures and all the different things. So definitely there. Hey, here's my goal tonight is that I give you guys some tips, some tricks of what you can do, and just even giving you kind of an insight of your child. And the big thing I want to make sure with it being wellness and about us having it, I just need to make sure you take a moment just to take a deep breath. So one of the tricks is when you learn how to breathe, if we can all just kind of take a small breath in, and we're going to count to 4, and then we're going to exhale, hold it again for 4. So here we go. We're going to inhale for 4. We'll hold it for 4, and we're going to exhale for 6 seconds. So here we go. Let's take a deep breath right now. So here we go. Inhale for 4. Hold for 4. And exhale for 6. Perfect. All right, so we're ready. Got a little take a breath. You've had a hard day of work. You've been homeschooling your child. You've been doing all these different things. And I just think it's important that we focus on that. I will take questions at the end. So if you guys have questions, please put them in the Q&A, have that and have that kind of part. But we're here to help you and give you the right tools. So here is who I Can Help is we empower and student change makers is a huge piece. We really think students have that power. The second thing we do is we promote digital safety. And the third thing we do is we celebrate youth innovation. Here's what I'm going to start off with this activity because I think this is important. This is Mallory, my lead intern. She's a junior at UNLV in Las Vegas. She's a journalism major. So just to kind of make it a little fun, in the chats, you're going to type in M if you want to vote for Mallory and put K if you want to vote for me. But I just want to show you guys some engagement and interaction on this. Right now, you're going to vote. Who do you think is taller? Who do you think is taller? Go ahead and put M for Mallory or K for Kim. Go ahead and in the chat, if you wouldn't mind, and make it so people can make it to everybody, so everybody can see who it's to. So go ahead and write K for Kim or M for Mallory. Who do you think is taller? If you can put that in the chat for me. Do we have that? Does it work? Hoping it does.
We had one person answer through the Q&A.
Ah, perfect. All right, perfect. All right, great. Here we go. Next one is this. Who do you think is more athletic? Go ahead and write M for Mallory and K for Kim. Who do you think is more athletic? Go ahead and vote for that one. Awesome. Perfect. Lock in your answers. And here we go. The next one is, who do you think, oh, I can see it now. There's a Q&A. Who do you think wore Us Magazine call? They want to know who wore it best. Who wore it best? The I Can Help t-shirt. Put an A for Mallory. Put a K for Kim. Who do you think wore it best? Did Mallory wear it better or did Kim wear it better? Oh, I see you. Oh, okay. I'm seeing your votes. Locking them in. Way to lock them in. Oh, all right, Matt. I see you. Perfect. All right. And last but not least, who do you think is hotter? Who do you think is hotter? Go ahead and vote for M for Mallory or for K for Kim. And here's the thing, a lot of people don't want to vote for this one, which is totally fine, right? This is what we want you to get out of this, is what we teach students on these kind of activities is this. What did it feel like to have to get voted on? Mallory's answer is always like, it's awkward. It's really uncomfortable. Especially if you have to go against me. She's like, I know you're taller than me. I'm taller. I'm 5'7". She's only 5'4". So she knows, she's like, I don't know why we're having that as a challenge. When it comes to who's more athletic, she's like, I don't know how you're not more athletic. You played 2 sports. I was a dancer, right? She's like, but the difference is, I'm like, I see she's super athletic in a different way. Like I can't bring my legs straight up in the air. When it comes to this, though, social media and different things, we're constantly comparing ourselves. And I'm going to show you some data later on of how much mental health has been changing. And the biggest thing is how we're comparing each other and how we're doing these different things. And we're having these controversial conversations about this or that, who wore it best, who did it best, all these different things that even adults are doing it. Students are doing it on Instagram. They're doing it on, if you don't know, on Snapchat, there's a thing called YOLO, which they can chart each other, they can rate each other, and they're doing exactly this. Adults are doing this as well. It might not be who wore it best, but or who's hotter. And it gets so uncomfortable, right? And my question, I know Matt put it in there, he voted for both on some of the questions. The number one answer I always get is because it's too awkward, or I didn't want to hurt their feelings, right? And why students shouldn't vote or why they don't vote is because they're like, it got uncomfortable. That's what you're trying to teach your students, is when something's uncomfortable, you shouldn't do it, right? I love that Matt said it. She lives in Vegas. That's why it's hotter than there. I'm going to vote for that. Yeah, but when you get uncomfortable, then why are you voting? And so we're trying to teach them those different things, but why can't we teach adults this? Because here's what I'm having to deal with during this time. Hey, mask or no mask? What's the right answer? Hey, what's the right answer on voting on this, right? Black Lives Matter or All Lives Matter? What's the answer on this, Republican or Democrat? Because I will tell you what I'm seeing on social media and what I'm seeing even adults doing, it's so hard. It's so hard to be able to see this and like how we're totally split on all these different pieces. Of course, this is what students are getting, and a lot of pressure is getting there. It's getting very awkward for them. It's getting awkward for even adults, where a lot of people have even hopped off of social media because of all this, right? And the different things that they get so uncomfortable, so many different things. So thank you for everybody for voting on that. I just wanted to kind of start off that activity just so you can see that, because social media is affecting our mental health, even using technology, but it's for good. I'm hoping you guys, we can use it for good. We just have to train ourselves, and we have to train the students to use it for good. 48% of teens do not turn to adults. They turn to their online community or their friends. So now you're getting advice from 13-year-olds to 13-year-olds. Making sure you understand that. I mean, even as an adult, do you even call your parent anymore? Or do you go right to YouTube to find out how long it takes to cook corn? That's what I found out last night, was I went to YouTube. I didn't go to my parent. Before, in the back of the day, you'd have to call your parent to get that answer. But now you have information right here at their fingertips, right? 60% of teens have suffered some kind of cyberbullying. 81% during this time has increased. So 81% with companies like myself, it has increased that much because they're that bored, or they just, no one's really like paying attention to what they're doing because there's so many other things going on. Suicide is the #2 cause of death nationwide for 10 to 24-year-olds. A lot of it to do with it is that comparison factor, that they're constantly comparing themselves to others. So making sure you guys do see this. This is the but I'm here to give you some answers, right? I don't want to just be like, hey, here's some shocks, but let's give you some answers, right? Here's a perfect example. I actually live out in Antioch, and I used to teach out in Discovery Bay. Well, actually still am. I'm teaching a social media class right now virtually. And so here's 2 students who are freshmen in high school that were fishing in a private like golf course community. But an adult wanted to go right on there and say, hey, are these your children? If so, please teach your children the golf course lagoon is not a place to fish. Right away, then people were like, I'd rather be doing this than other things. All these people wanted to share their opinions left and right, all their opinions one way or another. Again, mask or no mask, like all these different choices that they want to do, they want to put out there. And then they went right into, you know, about racist. This has nothing to do with race, but they wanted to go right to it. This is where we're at, this is how adults are hidden. And within an hour, this had over 1,000 comments. People were sending me all kinds of screenshots like, hey, how do we handle this? What do we do? It got so bad. I mean, people were making comments like this, let them be kids, Karen. So now we're being called Karens. If you're using the terminology Karen, I'm just letting you know, that's super, super, like, I think it's almost racist, right? When we're making these terms, it's almost like calling, back in the day, it was like calling someone the blondes, right? Making the blonde jokes and making fun of all the blondes. You're doing the same thing with all the Karens of the world, right? So now we're saying this, they're not glued to electronics and they're not vandalizing anything. So what's the problem? Leave them alone. And then it goes into she hates white people. It's obvious because now they went and found her Facebook page and they're putting it up there. So now this is what adults are doing. This is what adults are doing. This is the role models of students. So I'm going to just show you this because we're teaching students how to be digital first responders. They're the first ones to the scene. They're the first ones who get to see what each other are doing, because I don't follow their same TikTok channel. Like I don't follow your For You page. I don't follow their Snapchats. We need to teach them how to be that digital first responder as much as adults. If you've seen your friends doing these kind of things, why aren't you speaking up? Because if you want your child to do that, you need to do it yourself. Being what we call digital first responder, you're the first ones to the scene. Are you letting them know, either sending them a direct message saying, you might want to take this down. You might want to think about posting a picture of underage minors up on a Facebook page, right? You might want to check yourself on what you're saying. This is what we're trying to teach students to do. We need to start getting adults to do it. And the biggest thing I try to tell people is this, especially adults, stay in your lane. You got to realize schools have such a hard job right now, like having to figure out making decisions. It's super hard. I get it. People are so one way or the other. I understand, but we have to start making decisions, and they're trying to do the best that they can. So figuring out what your lane is and what your responsibility is, if it is for your child, right? And having that piece, we just need to start realizing, what is our role? Can we stay in our lane and make sure we help and support as much as we can? Here's what we do with our company is we're trying to build this house, right? We're trying to build this safe haven. What we are doing is we're trying to make everyone to use what we call digital for good, right? They use digital for good by being a part of I Can Help community. They use digital for good by making sure we educate you, making sure we do train you on these things, because a lot of people don't have this conversation about this stuff. And the last one is we allow them to lead. So yes, every single thing you see on our Instagram page is 100% students. It's our students who are posting everything. They're featuring doctors right now at this time. They're featuring, right now this month is actually a domestic violence abuse month. So they're actually featuring stories about, being in an abusive relationship. They're interviewing people about that. Their students are the ones who are having that conversation. They're leading the way. They're showing what you should post and what you should be having, how you should be having these hard conversations. They're the ones that are doing that. We're getting companies from huge companies to be able to support them on that, right? To be their mentor. Each in here you can help. The questions, will you? Right? I'm going to do another activity, and please use the Q&A thing again, or even the chat section, whichever you prefer. I'm going to ask you a question just to kind of prove it even farther of like how much anxiety and stress have been put in play. So just in the chat, just write Y for yes and N for no. Have you ever sent a text message to the wrong person before? Our chat is now working perfect. If you can put it in the chat, that would be even better. So put it in the chat. Have you ever sent a text message to the wrong person before? Write yes in the chat, write no if you haven't. So in the chat, if you wouldn't mind, have you ever sent a text message to the wrong person before? Put that in the chat for me. Send a text message to the wrong person before. Yes, a lot of yeses. Right? And that awkwardness, so when it does happen, you're like, oh my gosh, I just totally sent this to the wrong person. You freak out, right? Panic goes up. Students are doing this. And so again, anxiety goes up. How about this one? Let's ask this one. Yes, there we go. We got some more yeses. Yeah. Write yes or no if this has ever happened to you. Have you ever been in an awkward group chat before? Have you ever been put in an awkward group chat? Either you didn't know who it was and you're like, I don't know whose number this is, or it's an awkward group chat where they start talking about things. You're like, ugh, I don't know what to do here. This is uncomfortable. Write yes in the chat if that's ever happened to you. Write no if you never had it. Okay. But again, this is, imagine now students, they're constantly getting put in group chats. And a lot of times they don't know whose number it is because their friend put them in there, either with school or with sports or with someone that they like what class. I had a bunch of sixth graders just the other day tell me how, oh yeah, my PE class, someone put me in a group chat. They don't know who half they are. And then if you leave, it'll say, Kim Karr has left the room. So again, their anxiety goes up, right? Those different things are happening and we don't even realize it. How about this one? Let's go ahead and put in the chat for me, yes or no on this one. Have you ever felt anxiety or depression before? Have you ever felt anxiety or depression? Why, you can write yes or no. Have you ever felt anxiety or depression? Look at all these yeses. And this is the thing, is we're not having this conversation. Like this is a feeling. You're gonna get anxious. You're gonna get depressed. But what do you do when you feel these things is what we need to start teaching the students, right? How do you feel at that? Have we provided the right tools for them? So tonight I'm going to give you the right tools to hopefully be able to have that conversation with your child. And each school is going to be doing a school presentation. We can walk them through it and teach them these things. Here's the next one. Right? Yes or no. If you or someone you know has ever been asked for inappropriate photos, if you or someone you know has ever been asked for inappropriate photos, and that could include nude pictures or some awkward picture you didn't feel comfortable sharing, because this is what's happening with this age group is sometimes they're being asked to take a picture of them in their pajamas or in their swimsuit or in their bra or in their underwear, right? They're being asked for these kind of pictures. So this is where, again, anxiety goes up. This is their world, right? We need to know that this is even happening. Last one is this, right? Yes or no. If you or someone you know has ever had suicidal thoughts. If you or someone you know has ever had suicidal thoughts, right? Yes or no in the chat for me on that one. And again, this is where we're at, is our world is in a really dark place. I just had several phone calls with a lot of different state organizations, state things. They're having all, like, suicide again is skyrocketing. And it's not in the younger people, it's in the older people, the middle class people as well. They're feeling a lot of pressure. So we're in a dark world. Each of you guys in here can help. You guys are here tonight. Thank you for being here, because you're going to start making a difference. And we're going to give you the right tools to be able to do that. So let's show you how. We teamed up with Providence Health out of Oregon. They're trained psychologists and Wellbeing Trust, which is a nonprofit, to be able to create what we call an emotional first aid kit. So just like if you cut yourself, right, you have a cut, you know to go to the first aid kit to get a Band-Aid. But what do you do when you have these emotions of being stressed, feeling anxious? What do you do with those, right? Well, you're going to go to your emotional first aid kit. What's in your emotional first aid kit? The first one, which that's the reason why when you guys came in here, I wanted to have a fun song playing. What I want you to hear in the chat for me, please drop your favorite song. What is a song that completely changes your mood? Because mine is Boogie Shoes. Like, that song, for some reason, it completely changes my mood. I can be in a really horrible mood. Once that song comes on, I'm like, yes. So please put in the chat. I love to hear what your song is. What makes you happy? What just completely changes it? You're like, ah, give me some AC/DC any day of the week. Where are my 90s people at? Come on, put something in the chat for me. Let's hear that song, right? And teaching your child about music really completely changes what your tone is, and that they understand, like, a sad song, when you're feeling sad, listening to more sad song can put you even farther into it, right? So having a conversation about having that playlist of what it is. So I'd love to hear what your songs are. Put that in there for me. Here's a second one. I think it's important to, second one to talk about, I won't go through all of them, you can see them, is sights, right? What are the, like, pictures? Even, like, what's your favorite picture? What's your screensaver? Right now, my screensaver, let me see if I can get it pulled up. I have so many notifications on. But my screensaver is literally my niece right now. My back thing is, let me fold it over, is my sister from my birthday. Like, I just think it's fun. Just a fun picture. Yeah, my kids. I love it, Deborah. Yeah, perfect. See, what is your screensaver? And teaching them, like, changing your screensaver up or going through albums can completely change it, especially right now when you have been, like, you can't travel, like, then start going back and looking at your favorite pictures, right? Or even, like, what's your favorite place when you go to, like, the beach that you're like, oh, when I see the beach, just calms me down, right? The third thing in the emotional first aid kit is touch. Like, I have to wear my necklace. Like, it's just something about this necklace that makes me calms me down. I love weighted blankets. It makes you feel like you're being hugged. If you don't have one, you need to get one. It's amazing. Everybody got quarantine pets over this time, so put it in the chat. I'd love to hear the things that you are like, yes, or even shout out to this pet's name, because it just calms you down, right? Smells. What are the smells that make you happy? Is it popcorn? Is it chocolate? Is it, I've heard gasoline. I've heard some weird ones, which is awesome. It makes me even laugh even more, right? What are the smells that make you either happy? And then what are the smells that relax you? And that's why essential oils, there we go, lavender. I love it. Thanks, Deborah. Essential oils have become a huge thing because mint, lavender, those kind of smells make you relaxed. Right? And that's why that's important to teach your child even about that. And if you just simply put a couple things right here when they are having it, that's why a lot of the lotions now have that smell in there to make you feel relaxed, right? To kind of calm you down. The fifth thing in the emotional first aid kit is humans. I'd love for you to shout out anyone who has definitely gotten you through this time to be able to go to. Who is your person that you can go to? Every single person should have someone that either they're checking in with and that they're checking either in with or who's checking in on you. So make sure you guys put that in the chat for me, because this right here is number one. You have to have humans. Your child needs to have humans that are checking in with them. Who is besides you is checking in with them? Do they have any friends? And this is the biggest piece. I think I'm hoping if you're taking notes, this is number one I want to tell you is this. I know your child is probably in middle school or you have high school students or whatever. You need to pretend like they are back in preschool and you need to organize play dates. You have to be the one who organizes play dates because of this right here, or that they're checking in with somebody, because it's so awkward right now. They don't know how to organize it. Because if your family has strict rules, it doesn't, it's hard for them to organize the play dates to be able to have that social time. And social time is so important for mental health. Have you been doing that? Is your kid checking in with somebody? Are they checking in with a friend? And is anybody checking in with them? Those are important questions to ask. And the last one, number 6 for your emotional first aid kit, is taking action. What do you do with those kind of like crazy thoughts in your head? What do you do with them? I go for runs in the morning, or I go work out, but I also love to clean. I love to organize. That really calms me down. What are the things? I love to dance. I call it dance therapy. So what are the things that help you with that, and making sure your kid, you walk through what are their emotional first aid kits? So hopefully this was something that will be easy for you to do. I love for hearing the chat if this helped you, to be able to have that kind of takeaway. Here's the next thing is this, right? How do you control? We're being forced to have to use this now, right? We're being forced. Zoom exhaustion is a real thing because it just drains you, right? Constantly having to be on at all times. And so how do you control these devices instead of these devices controlling your life? All the stuff that we make, this curriculum, is actually made with students. So me being an educator, the students being students, I walk side by side with them. I don't walk in front of them and I don't walk behind them. We have these conversations together of like, hey, what do you do? These are all student answers. You know, are you teaching even you yourself should be doing some of these things. When they're working on homework, the biggest thing that they didn't know to do is they put this on do not disturb mode, right? They put this on do not disturb mode so that they're not being distracted and their notifications aren't kind of being bombarded, because group chats are constantly going off. They can actually log off of Snapchat. A lot of them don't, but they can log off, right? They can do it like a detox, right? They can say like, hey, Saturdays, I've had a lot of my students actually tell me on Saturdays, they're like, I'm not going to check my email. I'm not going to check my phone. That's my day that I'm going to be outside spending the whole day. But these are all students' answers. Now they can most of them will be like, I can't do the 24-hour detox. I have too many things that are going on. I have so much FOMO. I can't do that one. But you know what I can do is I'll make sure I'll check my phone at a certain time, right? So they're shifting those different things up. Here's the other fun one that I think it's important. If your child does have any kind of social media, like if they're using TikTok, if they're using Instagram, if they're using Snapchat, if they're playing Among Us, right? If they're playing Fortnite, if they're playing anything that has that chat feature, do they know how to be safe, right? Are you making sure that they know how to report things? So I do it as like a scavenger hunt because it's constantly changing. It's hard to make videos to keep up to date. So I just do like a scavenger hunt, like, and I just kind of say it like, hey, and I honestly play dumb. I know how to do most of these things, but I honestly with students, I'm like, oh, can you show me how I'm supposed to report on here on Snapchat? Can you show me how to report this page? And make them physically show you that they know how to do that. Right? On Fortnite, I honestly don't know. I've only played it a few times. On Fortnite, I'm like, hey, can you show me like, you know, how can I block a user? And then they quickly show me how they can block a user. So making sure that you can do these different things. I think that's so important, that your child is practicing safe things and that that they know how to be that safe, right? Because it is important for the toxicity kind of stuff. Here's some of the tips again. I just want you guys to be able to walk away with some tips for as parents of what you can do. So again, the peer groups and social connections, that you guys need to be the ones who plan this. You need to be the ones making sure, are they having social interaction, because they need to have it. Again, even if it's a FaceTime interaction or they're having a game night, I've been able to play games with my my nieces in Sweden We're able to do dice games. We're able to do different things. Like there's any kind of thing that you can organize it with them. They need to have some kind of peer group. They need to have someone who's checking in with them besides their parent. Opportunities to feel competent. This is so important. They need to feel like they get it because their confidence has completely like kind of crashed during this time. So give them opportunities where they feel like they are the smartest and most genius people ever. And be like, even though it's like something super simple, just make it feel like, man, you're the most smartest genius person right there. Because confidence has been kind of shattered because again, they're getting so Zoom exhausted with having to have the cameras on, having these different things. It's just wearing on them. Being a part of the solution. Let them be a part of the solution. If there's a problem that your families are facing, no matter what it is, allow them to have them think it through with you to see if they can create a solution, because they need to feel like they are a part of everything, right? So our entire company is built on students being a part of our solution. We 100% have students that are doing things that adults should be doing it, but they're a part of our solution. They're on our board, they're on our steering committee. They have full, like they are getting to be the ones, hey, we got this problem, like, can we help fix it? And they come up with the solutions right away. When we allow them to have that, they can do it. I'm just going to tell you, it's changes in the being a part of the solution. A lot of students are figuring it out. They're learning stuff. They're learning a lot of soft skills that you wouldn't be able to learn until you get older. They know that homework goes out at a certain time, and what they'll do is they'll get it done. So then they go like, oh, I'm done, and then they go and play. So like that's soft skills. That's something that they were able to figure out. So there's some students who are like, they figured this out. It's kind of like a game to them. Like, I'm going to be part of the solution, and they figure that piece out. There is massive changes in parent-child relationship. Just realize that is a huge thing right now, because they're trying to figure out that where usually you would go to school and you would have teachers, but now when you're having it at home, that change of relationship is now not only the parent, you're having to help them with this work. It's really hard for them. So just realize there needs to be there is changes in parent-child relationship. Safety comes first, and make sure that where you stand on your house rules, because every house rules is different on safety, right? And what is your rules? And then make sure they explain why is that your rule, so they understand what that is. Don't just be like, just because I said so. They need to know the why, what's the reason behind it. And the last one I think it's important for you guys to know about is talk to them about mental health, right? Talk to them about anxiety, talk to them about stress. Hey, how are you feeling today? Even talk to you when you're feeling stressed. You need to make it very clear, like, today I'm stressed, right? And here's the reason why. And here's what I'm going to do about my stress. And once I own it, or hey, I'm feeling a little anxious. Once I own it, I take claim, I'm taking power back from it, and I can move to the next thing. It's still there, but I've taken power of it. So just making sure we're having those conversations is so important for parents, during this time. The big thing that we do is we also get to have these hard conversations, but then we get to celebrate. We get to celebrate students like this. These are our 11 student winners who are doing incredible work online. Alex Knoll, he built the Ability app when he was 9. He's now 16. The Ability app is anyone who has a disability can go to his app to find out, does this hotel or restaurant have the accessibility for my wheelchair, right? So cool. Teenager Therapy down there at the bottom, they started a podcast when they were sophomores in high school. They're now seniors. The podcast is just 5 students. They wanted to talk about their mental health and like how they're feeling. And they're now seniors. They've interviewed all kinds of influencers. They actually just interviewed Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, because again, they saw this as a problem and they want to be part of the solution. Because we're featuring them, we're getting more students to create their own podcast to be able to have that, right? How cool is that? Like, students are being like, oh, I want to be like Teenager Therapy and have my own podcast. Let's see, Grace Bradley, she created a club called Kind Girls Win. She's in college. She goes back to middle schools and has the clubs go paint nails for girls, because she realized she was a mean girl when she was in middle school. And then her dad passed away when she was a freshman in high school. And so she wanted to do something different to change that. She wanted to make sure we go and celebrate people, right? I'm just showing you guys these, like, this is the power these students have. April 23rd, you're welcome to come. I encourage everyone to watch it with your child, because I think it's so important that we're going to celebrate these students who are doing incredible work, right? Of like showing these different things off. This is Teenager Therapy. They have all these influencers. You probably don't know them. They're all TikTok stars. And it's just this kind of piece, but there's Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. And I just think it's important for us to show positive stories. Like, digital can be amazing. We need to make sure we show them the right ways. And this is all of our year-long students. There's over 70 of them in 17 states and 4 countries. I have 50 seasonal interns who are doing it for college credit. That also adds more states. And so these are all student-led, student-run student initiatives, because they're seeing, hey, we need to get the word out about mental health and digital wellness, and we're giving the results. So we encourage you to support, to follow us on our social media platforms, and I'll put that in the chat for you. But here's some of the tips. I love when people send me their notes from tonight, because it just makes a difference. Being outside for at least 1 hour is super important. It's so good for your health, and making sure your child is spending an hour. You need to be the role model first. That you're spending at least 1 hour outside, and then that way, if you do it, your child's going to do it. I think having a tech family time is important. Like when you're on the couch watching a certain TV show. I love The Voice. That's my no device zone time, is during The Voice. So having some kind of time, like this is when we're not going to have any devices, is so important to have. Content restrictions, like different things, having settings. Even my other big tip that you can do is you can actually show your screen time now. So if you just go into settings, I can actually pull up, you can go to screen time. I think it's important, even at dinner table, you can pull it up. Like, and I've actually been pretty good this year. But right now you can see I've used it for 6 hours and 22 minutes because I'm on my phone for work. But they showing that conversation with them and see like, hey, how can you either get that down, right? Or why is it so low, or why is it so high? If you're seeing massive amounts of going up too high or going down too low, again, that means there's something stressed out, right? So just like that kind of piece is there. So these are just some of the tips that the parents have walked away with. Stay in your lane, right? How to use your phone properly and following your child. If they're on Snapchat, if they're on Instagram, you should be able to see what they're doing. If they're on Fortnite, you should be able to hear what they're saying. Because that's the thing, is like, are you following? If you want to know who your kids hang out in real life, you should know who they're hanging out with on social media. That makes a huge difference. Big question I have, and this is when I'll take questions, but a big question I usually get is around time. I get it. Time is right now, electronic time is super high. It's super high right now, which that's totally understandable. But I will suggest, my other last tip for you is that they shouldn't stop with the technology an hour before bed. If you can get away with it, especially when they're younger right now, set up the system where they don't have their phone next to their bed. See if you can have it plugged in in the kitchen would be my best bet, right? Having those kind of setting up those routines now when they're younger is better. So a lot of people want to ask that question, but if you have any other questions, this is your chance to put them in the Q&A. And I love in the chat, if you can give me one thing that you're able to walk away with tonight of what you can do as a parent. I want to make sure, because again, each of you guys in here can help. Oops, let me finish with that. The question is, will you, right? And this is just the final slide to be able to show you, like, each of you guys can help. The question is, will you make sure you're using digital for good, right? You yourself as an adult using it for good. Will you, what we call, work to be well? Will you start using mental health and being like, it takes work to be well, right? It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of energy. Will you become a volunteer? Will you, tag us, or will you make sure you join